All right, let's do this. Let's have this interview. Tina in the house. Way to go, Tina. Thanks for joining. Welcome back, Alex. My primo. Cool. I hope you guys have a good time camping. All right. What's up, Maitland? I have some old pictures that I need to send you guys from when you visited us in Littleton. That was a good time. Glad you got your plans approved. Did you ever finish building that airplane? My friend Maitland, he's also a pilot. He's a Renaissance man extraordinaire. He was building himself an airplane. Pretty cool stuff. All right. Well, I'm here in my garage studio, and it's getting hot. So I have a fan on me. Hopefully it's not too loud. Nope, I needed buying the Piper Cherokee, so I gotta put that on hold. Well, sorry you had to put that airplane on hold. It was pretty cool to see you build it, but glad it's just on hold. Oh, all right. Hey, Paul. Welcome. Let's see. Just waiting for Shadia to join us. She'll be on in a second. Love all the artwork you've been doing. I've been following your career for a long time. There's Shadia. All right. Let's go live.
Hey.
Sorry to make you scramble like that, but I'm glad you joined us.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Woo!
Very cool. How's your day been? Kind of hectic, huh?
Ooh, it's a little intense with the move, but actually not too shabby. I bought a new tripod, so I'm trying to get this squiggly little thing to work.
Yeah. They're all finicky, so best of luck
Yeah,
with that.
thank you. So you just bear with me if you see me. This is good? Is
Yeah.
this good lighting? All right, cool.
And don't worry about it. I mean, we're in Corona times now. Like nobody has a
Yeah.
haircut. Everybody like I think people are pretty forgiving right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're good. I think this is solid.
very cool.
Yeah, sure. Hey, it's happening.
Yeah,
Coming to you from my new apartment.
how are you liking it?
It's very cozy here. So I do like it. It's just a big change.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's see. I just want to tell everybody like how we met. When I came to LA, I've moved a lot as an artist, and every time I move, I kind of like jump into the scene and go to a bunch of drawing classes. And I jumped on Instagram and, asked around like, hey, what are the drawing classes I should go to, this and that. And you were one of the people who was like, oh, you should go here, you should go there. And you were so welcoming and kind, and you had really great advice. And so I just want to thank you for that warm welcome to LA.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kicking butt out here. You're like, I mean, honestly, you're everywhere, and that's amazing. So you're
Thanks.
making it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about, I think, connecting with good people. And, it's a hustle. It's hard, working in the arts is, what you do is also an art. I mean, I consider it an art. You art model full time, and that's hard to do. And we'll talk
Right.
more about that in a minute. But yeah, that's how I met you. Why
Yeah.
don't you? Some of these people, they don't know who you are, so maybe introduce yourself and a little bit of your
Okay.
background. Yeah.
Cool. I'm Shadia, and I art model full time professionally. Well, it's been full time for the last 5 years, almost 5 years, but I've been doing it for 17 years.
Wow.
So yeah, I never thought it'd be full time when I first moved to Los Angeles, but I was like, well, I'd always done it on the side, and you are blank. You went blank.
Oh,
Is that
that's
on?
weird.
Okay. I'm
Sorry.
actually gonna. No, you're good. Let me
I don't
get
know
some
what
more.
happened. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Should I just keep on keeping on?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I don't know why it did that. Something happened with my camera?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you got this floor, so just talk about yourself. I'll try and get back on here.
Well, cool. Yeah, I started off. Well, I've worn a lot of hats, like many different hats. I started off doing portraits of people many years ago back in my hometown, Illinois. And it's a small town, so the artists, they know if you're an artist, they know who's who over there. And I was 17, no, 16, sorry. And the local art studio asked me, because I knew that I modeled, I was doing like, the commercial modeling, like, as a teenager. And so they said, would you mind posing for our, evening class? And it was maybe 3 people. And I had to do it with yoga clothes on because I was not 18.
Oh, oh,
And
okay. But
turns out I was pretty decent at it, so I just
yeah,
kept on going.
yeah. I mean, you know, it's been a career, but I mean, it's athletic also. It's
Yeah.
hard to hold some of these poses for a while. Um,
Mhm.
I would imagine, like, do you have a routine that you do?
Well, I could be doing a lot more of it, but yoga's been a game changer and a lifesaver. I was in a pretty bad car accident years ago, so I never would have thought in my future that I would be doing this full time, because body pain is something that I've had to push through after my accident. Yeah, my routine is probably like really sticking with the yoga.
Okay.
Uh, I could have a better diet, but I am vegan, and I do think that does give you a lot more energy. Definitely more so now than before I was a vegan. So I think my routine is like every single day. It's like what I'm eating, am I stretching?
Right on.
And before I go into a session, I like to, hey Luna, seeing who's popping in.
Yeah.
Um, I do like to listen to music that inspires me. So, like for example, FKA Twigs is a big one that I listen to. Her music will really just kind of like get my creative juices going. When I step on stage, I try to not necessarily think about the poses that I'm going to do beforehand, like on my way there.
Yeah.
But I'll play certain music and I will just start moving in my head and dancing, and I let it come from that. I try to think of a story that maybe the first pose inspires, or maybe the music that the artist is playing in the room inspires, and I
Yeah,
just kind
because
of let it.
sometimes it's like multiple poses, quick poses, gesture stuff, and other times it's like a really long pose, like two
Yeah.
hours or something. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I mean that's some endurance. I posed for a little bit in college, and it was I thought it would be so easy and just like so relaxing, but it's work, and I
There
would
is.
yeah, and you learn really quickly how hard it is to stay still and focused, and it's
Yeah.
also kind of I remember being bored doing it. I was like, God, I'm so bored. Didn't know how to entertain myself in my mind.
Oh, I can go down the rabbit hole. So
Nice.
I
Nice.
have been my best friend, my therapist, my own worst enemy, like whatever's happening in my head. Yep, so I can be up there for a while.
You can
It's an
entertain
interesting place
yourself
to
for a
be.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Cool. Well,
definitely.
what are some things that I don't know surprise people when you meet them? Maybe something that seemed to surprise people that you do.
You mean like people in the field, as far as like when I'm working, or?
Oh, I'm sure it's a surprise to people when they meet you. Like, oh, you're an art model. Like, what's that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about what we do. I try to take that opportunity to, you know, shed some light because a lot of the misconceptions are just based off of like our world is really unknown, and I forget that when I step out of it. You know, our world, it can be
Yeah,
such a safe space where we all know that like we know, I mean, I think everybody's coming into that room for a different reason, and I can't speak for every individual artist of why they're coming in there, but we know how much endurance it takes, we know how serious it is, and we know how,
yeah,
I don't know, what a beautiful thing it is, and we all come with kind of those intentions. And so when we get the misconceptions, I get them often when I tell people what I do.
yeah. You
Yeah,
gotta
you forget
educate
that.
people. Yeah,
Yeah, I forget that
we
we
had
all
somebody
know.
come over to our home to fix our washing machine. It wasn't
Mhm.
working. Gosh, just before all this Corona stuff, and he comes into their house, and you've been here, and there's like nudes on the wall and paintings and drawings, and he goes, oh, 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 like he was shocked. And
Yeah,
I, like if you're on the outside looking in, it can be a shock to you because,
sure,
I forget nudity to a lot of people is just sexualized, but,
sure.
nudity isn't always sexual, and people forget that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think I want to give humans more credit,
yeah,
to not be so linear, to think that like, flesh equals sex. I think that it's a social construct can really mess with people. To me, there's really no difference between my elbow or my boob. But I have to treat it like that just because of social construct. So
yeah.
yeah,
But it's
it's hard for me
exhausting.
to forget that because like the family I grew up in, they don't let me forget that what I'm doing is wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that a little bit before,
Yeah.
and even people I love dearly who have known me for years, they still have to they still remark sometimes, something that my response is usually like, "Oh, grow up," like
Right.
grow up. But I think it's until you're in it, maybe that's the change. They have to take a drawing class and realize just how
Yeah.
focused you need to be,
Yeah.
behind the canvas or even posing. It demands focus. The results are what you do. There was a quote by, oh gosh, John Carlson. He was a famous landscape painter, but I love what he said, and it applies to the figure as well. It's like, you know, nature needs design, and it's up to you to, even if it's away from the truth, like moving away from the truth, nature is there for your art, and so
Mhm.
you need to take what you can from that and apply a design. And it's been bumping around in my head recently, but I love what I love about back when the day when we had figure drawing classes all over the place. I loved walking around and looking at everybody's drawings like during the break,
Yeah.
all of the different interpretations and designs, like everybody's got,
Yeah.
and you could tell it was you posing, because you know your poses are unique and everything, but it's like the everybody can capture a sense of you, and it's different, and I like that.
Yeah, I love that aspect too. Touching back on what you said about like maybe like being in my own headspace for that long and a long pose. I'm fascinated when I go into a figure drawing session by people. To me, I think humans are pieces of art. It's like everybody. I'm so fascinated with the micro expressions that people take on, while they're drawing. They can be
Oh,
frustrated or like sighing, or maybe someone's really into the pose. All those little details about people, the sounds that their, charcoal makes on a sketch pad,
yeah,
down to what they're wearing. I spend most of my time studying everybody else, probably just as much as they're studying me. It's like that's all I have to look at for the next 4 hours. Luckily, I find people so interesting that, yeah,
yeah,
I can enjoy it.
That is cool. I mean, it's interesting the effort you go through also with your art, you know? Like, I know Corona time, like COVID has put quite an impact on your work because it basically shut it down, right? Like all classes were canceled. And so,
Right.
you know, a lot of creatives are getting really creative right now. And you
Sure.
did a Frida pose and you went all out. You had a background, you were in costume. I mean, the effort is applaudable. And I'm like, that's
Thank
bravo.
you.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you know, it emanates out. People, I think, can be inspired by the muse, obviously. And I think it's important to take, if you're a model, to take your job seriously and really kind of have, you know, have that in your responsibility bag to like encourage others to raise up, you know, their efforts
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. To touch on that a little bit, it might be semantics to other people, but something I find very interesting in sessions is like often after a session, an artist will come up to me and we'll get to talking a bit. And maybe they'll ask me how I got started. I'll say, well, yeah, was doing portraits, and I know they don't mean anything by it, but I get this a lot. And they say, oh, I didn't know that you were an artist too. And I always like kind of takes me back a bit. I'm just I think, well, what do you think I'm doing up here? Because to me, we're the word model, the term model, that professional title. It's like it's so wonderful, but also we're at a bit of a disadvantage because I am going to go ahead and like speak for models here, but
Please do, yeah.
we are so much more than that. You know, modeling is our medium just as much as an artist is a painter. For us to be artists, our medium is modeling. But we are artists, and I think of every pose that I strike as someone else's sketch. You know, it's like if somebody is doing a quick sketch, I'm doing a quick pose. Those are both artists working. And models, art models, oh, we're so many things. We're costume designers, we're set designers, we're storytellers, we're makeup artists. You know,
Yeah.
so much goes into just jumping on stage and inspiring a room full of 30 plus people that all have different ideas of what's attractive to them and what's beautiful to them. That is an art form to make everybody in that room feel something, to evoke something out of every single person. Really, that takes that's some skill. So when somebody says like, oh, this is a model, I think of like, the French word for it, which is mannequin. A mannequin is like, someone stagnant and still.
Yeah.
The second you start striking a pose, that's when you become an artist, whether that's modeling for a commercial ad or jumping on stage for an open life drawing session. It's like, I think it would change how people treated us if we were seen as the artists that we really are.
Absolutely. I think there's also an etiquette to that, but I think going along with what you do as art, I mean, a lot of the figurative art won't exist without models. I mean, it's just that simple, you know? So you guys are a big chunk, like you're an essential element to why people are producing figurative work, you know? And it's
Thank
an
you.
exciting thing to think about when you when you get up on stage and you're like, there's energy in the pose, and all of a sudden you're challenged and there's a sense of urgency. Me as an artist, I have to get this story down, because a lot of these poses that you and your contemporaries are doing, they are narrative. You know, there's a story to them. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of work goes into it. At least I try to think of, did I do a seated, didn't do a standing. When I try to go like, clockwise in my poses, so everybody gets like a different angle depending on the setup of the
Oh, that's
stage.
cool. That's
Yeah,
considerate. That's pretty
I
cool.
try to. Um, yeah, and I think like, okay, did I just do a seated pose? Maybe I should do a standing pose. what did this side of the room get as far as like negative space or S curve. So I try to apply all the years of like my art class experience being the
Because you're
model. And
also like you also draw and paint, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I haven't had a chance to draw. I like to try to do the poses that I wish that I was drawing if I was in on your side of it.
Yeah, it's that
Yeah,
time element. Like who, you got to get that time. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I hope to be on your side of it more so one day where I get to draw people more.
Right on. Right on. What's the weirdest pose that you've had to hold for a while?
Oh, I was trying to think about what the weirdest pose I've
Yeah.
done. And, like, I think, like, what is weird?
Yeah.
I am so weird that it's like I've done the weirdest shit on stage, but that's all like self-inflicted strangeness. But I think like maybe what
I
has been.
I
Sorry.
remember one. I was just really quick. I remember one time you like this is the first time I met you in person. Like you jumped on stage and you had like red eye contacts, and I'm
Yeah.
like, like I'm coming from like a classical arena where like the models, they're posing and stuff, and you were like, and you also had like horns that you would put on and like long finger things. And I was like, whoa, I gotta like, there's a lot of energy coming out from the poses you were doing. And I was like, red eye contact lenses, like as subtle and small of a detail as that is for a gesture pose, like it changed the context of what I was taking
Yeah.
in from the pose. It's that energy you were emanating out, that I was talking about. And I was like, oh,
Sweet.
that subtle detail had a big impact.
Yeah. I think the magic is in the details.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
Sure.
I didn't mean to interrupt, and I just
Oh
did,
no,
but
you're good.
yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you for
weirdest
noticing.
pose. Yeah, weirdest pose.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, I'm gonna say probably like most interesting pose that is not in my normal experience is like when I model shibari. I've only done it a few times,
I'm
but
sorry. What is shibari?
it's traditional Japanese rope tying.
Okay.
So you can only hold it like at least I was only able to hold it. They told me because we had a professional that was tying me up because you should not let just any average Joe tie you if you do that because you could damage something. But they hung me upside down for about 15 minutes. My
Whoa.
legs were hanging from a bar, like a bamboo bar, um, and that was interesting. I really loved doing that. I actually found that to be so comfortable. I fell asleep in the pose. Um, I didn't plan on that, but they came over and poked me because they called my
Wake up.
name to be yeah, because I am a sleeper. That is one thing. I think each model struggles with, something that's like a
Yeah.
little difficult when they go into it. And for me, it's like, oh man, I can get so comfortable even in the weirdest spots that I will just knock out. But I did fall asleep in that one, and I do think those are the most interesting poses I've done, are hanging upside down,
Very cool.
dangling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen the results. I've seen the drawings and sketches of those poses, at least a few of them from you. Yeah. Man, in Seattle, there was this figure model. His name was Randy, and he had a very Moses look to him, the white beard, an older man. And they had a show in his honor, just all the people that he's been posing for a long, long time at the Gage Academy up there. And they had a show showcasing, just works that he was the muse for. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
I think LA should, do that for you. You've been almost every artist I've talked to
Oh,
here has, oh yeah, I know Shadia. I've drawn her. I painted her. Like they all, you've inspired a lot of artwork. I think it'd be cool to see it all in one place.
thank you. Yeah, got a decent amount of artwork that's been gifted to me too. So I think like I hoard it all. I keep it. I always treasure those. I think they're so wonderful. When someone gives me a piece of artwork, it's like, oh, one day I can have like a little show or a little something something
Yeah.
to honor the work that I've done because I am proud of it. It wasn't an easy road for me, just personally being in this line of work. So I look at it and I think, ah, worth it, you
Yeah,
know,
that's a
done this.
pretty big compliment, you know, giving you the artwork like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really is. So I do treasure those pieces. I know my roommate Bill just gave me a few paintings because we're moving and I've been living with him for a couple of years. I started off working with him in, life drawing sessions. And he gave those to me, and I'm thinking like, wow, I will look back on these someday and just think like, what an amazing life I've had.
right on.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, and all these artists are just part of that story. They're each a page of it where it's just like they're helping me write this really incredible journey that I've had. It's not an easy one at times. You ask me like on a different day at a different hour, and I might have a different answer. But the big picture is like it's been incredible out here. I had no idea it was going to be this.
yeah. And I think right now, in this, during this time, especially the art community, especially the online art community, has really rallied, come
Yeah,
together, shown support.
yeah,
I'm trying to be more active in it, just doing these things, Instagram lives, but also, reaching out and I don't know, trying to solve problems, help each other out. Everybody's got different issues, and being
yeah,
sensitive and empathetic to everybody's cause. It's
yeah.
everybody's different. Everybody's got their own struggles right now, and if you can help, you got to help. So
Oh, I think our community it's like, sure, there's things I could complain about, the logistics, but we are so fortunate to have fallen into the world that we're in. Um, Artists are such hard on sleeve, compassionate, feelers.
yeah,
We have so much empathy that it's really radiating right now. Like people donating to other performers and artists. We're all sharing each other's information. I know some of the other models that I've reached out to and vice versa were, sharing tips on how to do Zoom. We're just all trying to navigate this together. But I have artists just calling me to say like, just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. It's like, I don't know what it's like for other lines of work. Maybe people have been unfortunately like furloughed right now, or just really, were let go of their jobs.
yeah,
We're in a community that's really trying to help each other
yeah.
thrive. Yeah.
We don't know what's on the other end of this, and I think, you know, once we are on the other end, it'd be a nice position to know like, oh, you were really cool, you helped it out, when I was in trouble, and to let people know that, yeah, you're not just there during like these hard times, but you want to be
Right.
part of the community, and keep things going, keep things happening. um
Yeah.
I think people have been, I talked to a few people that have been distressed about, the uncertainty of what will happen after this. And yeah,
Right.
everybody's freaking out about that. But as long as I think we operate in it with care, and we let each other know, like, yeah, hey, we are part of this community, and we take it seriously. I think people are realizing the value of community now more than ever.
Yeah, I like to think of it as like we're remembering things that we've forgotten of what it means to be a human.
Oh, I like the way you said that. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. It's a good thing when people reach out. And you guys could ask questions too. I see a bunch of you are watching, so thanks for tuning in.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, it's
I just want to
funny.
know.
I
Yeah,
had somebody ask, have you ever recognized somebody by their voice?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What happened? Is there a story with that or something?
I feel like I recognize people's voices a decent amount. I think it's just like being in the life drawing environment, just like you see or you hear people walking in sometimes, before you maybe I'm like looking a certain way in a pose where,
Yeah.
I can't see who just walked in, but just by them talking, I'm like, oh, so and so's here. It's
Yeah.
just stuff like that. Yeah.
I
Well, I'm curious
the
about that
context
question
was
again.
more like famous people, like a famous person's voice, and I'm like, wow, that I don't know. Like I remember your story about recognizing an actress drawing you. One,
Yes, I was like, oh, one thing just stuck out to me. Yeah.
yeah,
So And she was actually so freaking nice. Like, I was at Los Feliz live drawing, and I was a big fan of the show Rain, about like Queen Mary, and so Princess Claude, she was there. Her name's Rose. She was there drawing me, and I looked out in the audience. And I was like, holy shit! I have watched you a lot on TV, and I'm a huge fan. So I've had those moments, but she actually approached me after the session, said that she was really inspired and she was trying to get back into this kind of like left behind love that she had of figure drawing from years ago. And we ended up doing a dance class together. We went out for lunch and she invited me to a dance hall class. And so we went and did some dance hall, and like
That's
this
such a great
field takes
story.
you, yeah, I mean, it takes you into places I could not have imagined. Yeah, the reality to a world of make believe is really incredible.
Yeah, I mean, just doing my art, I can relate. You know, it's taken me to places I would have never thought I would go.
Yeah,
You know, and I don't know. It's arriving in LA. I was when my wife, she was like, "Hey, got a job in LA. You know, a good job offer. Let's move." And I was like, "Oh no!" Like we just
yeah,
moved to Arizona. We're like, that's where we both were. That was our hometown. You know, home state. And we had moved. You know, Colorado, Seattle, done all this moving. And I was really hesitant because I'm like, no, LA, no. Like cost of living, the
sure.
pollution, crime, like all this other stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to go. But, you know, she was like, no, like, come on, let's give it a shot. And I'm like, all right. And holy smokes, I wish I had moved here sooner. It's such a great place. Not
You
just
really,
artists, but, you know, the community, the people.
yeah.
It's really great. I'm a fan now.
Yay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you jumped right in and you were warm from the start. And so, I mean, I think that's just who you are at your core. But I really do appreciate you because, like, you immediately were just like so welcoming and you are so generous, like even when this whole quarantine happened, when you reached out and you're like, let me know if there's any way I can help.
Cool.
But you haven't been here very long, and to think of like how many people you've connected with and how genuine you are about all of your interactions. I value people like you. I think there's a lot more people like us who come into it with such loving intentions. That makes up a good portion of LA. I think
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of things going into it. It's like, oh, you'll feel differently after 5 years of being here, or give it some time, then you'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there are crappy people everywhere, but boy, there are really amazing people here. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
grateful to be in a place like this.
Like there's a lot of horrible stuff everywhere, you know, and I think that's like one of my art statements. Like it's in my core belief. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of horrible stuff everywhere, but if you can take a sliver of good and show it to somebody, you know, take that from your own experience, your own narrative, and just highlight the beauty you see in something or whatever it is, and give that to people to view. I think that would be,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my purposes as an artist, to put beautiful things out in the world. I There was a really great movie, and it had a quote by Gertrude Stein, the
Mm.
editor. I think it's called Midnight in Paris or something.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and an author of a book was, he was getting a critique from her in the movie, and what she said like hit me, and I was like, oh my god. She basically summed up saying like it's not the artist's job to be burdened and run down with all of these bad things going on in the world. It's their job to like produce good things and joy, because you are sensitive, so be sensitive to like these good things and offer them to people in these times.
Yeah.
I butchered her quote, but it had the
Oh,
gist of that. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I just want to quickly point out, I saw somebody just join uh, this live session, and his name is William Butler. So the story I was telling before William had joined in, like earlier. So when I was saying that my first gig was in my hometown, run by the local, like the art studio back home.
Yeah.
William was actually the person who gave me my very first art modeling job when I was 16. So,
Bravo.
yay! Thank you, William. I see he's on there, but I can give him a big thank.
Connection. It's reconnecting.
I
There we
hear you.
go. Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
paused just for a second. Yeah. But
Yeah,
a
so I
shout out
want
to
to say
William.
thank you, William, because as like a series of life has gone on, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about these things if William had not first given me that opportunity.
Right on. That's so
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's those pushes in the right direction. So, has there been any other shout outs you'd want to make to people who've helped you along your journey?
So many of you, whether it be just like a friend that I made at my first job here, Luna. I see Luna's signed on. She's been given some love on there, but not even anybody in the art field per se. It's just like whether it's somebody to talk to or have like tea with, whatever it is. It's like so many people have helped me. A big help in this field is Paul Roustan. He is the body painter I work with often.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I've seen his
yeah,
work.
yeah, he's amazing. But just aside from the work that he does, he's an incredible human being.
Right.
And he's actually from Chicago. I lived in Chicago before moving here. Um, and so we know the same people that we both worked with, but we didn't meet until out here. And I love that. But he has really he has helped me so much. He always takes me to like Monster Palooza. We work together. He'll take me to the like sci-fi and makeup conventions, all the Comic Cons, whenever he can attend one. He likes to, work with me on those because he knows that that's the avenue that I actually want to strive for. So Paul is someone who's always approaching things with how can he help everybody involved. And he has really introduced me to opportunities that have been the most magical to
Shout
me.
out to Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Right on.
he's an
That's cool.
incredible person. Talk about a storyteller.
Yeah. I
He'll
hope
be
to
the
meet.
last person to tell you how amazing he is, but he is.
Right on. No, I hope to meet a bunch of more artists, after this crazy time. I just want to hang out with a bunch of people and tell stories and, over
Yeah.
good spirits and good drinks. It'd be good, you know.
Okay.
But here we are, doing these digital Zoom classes. I was skeptical about figure drawing from a Zoom class. I'm like, oh God, this isn't, this is. Well, I'll give it a try. You got to support the art community. Let's foster these connections. And I was really surprised by it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, yeah, I have my iPad and it's a small screen and, I'm looking and drawing, but the sense of urgency is still there. And I
Right.
think that's something that a lot of people were like, well, why figure draw? If it's just from a Zoom, just, you take the picture and that's it. And I'm like, well, I hear you. I understand what you're saying, but a photograph, I will take a month to draw from, because I'm comfortable, I'm relaxed, there's no sense of urgency, the pose isn't going to change, it's a photo.
Yeah.
But in a Zoom class, there's subtle movements where you get, in life drawing, a better understanding of the form. And then there's the sense of urgency, which I think is the main thing. And that forces me to get out of my comfort zone and, do some mark making that might, I don't know, take me out of my comfort zone a little bit and grow me as an artist. And I think real growth happens from drawing from life, whether it's via Zoom or a real life drawing class. So,
Yeah.
as skeptical as I was of the Zoom life drawing classes, I'm so glad I did it. I'm doing it, just keep it going.
Yeah.
You did one for some people in Japan, right?
They did.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Well,
so cool.
it was Japan. I did London. Been really fortunate to be working globally. that is a silver lining to it, because going virtual with everything, it's like it really lifted the veil, I think, for, like, at least speaking for myself, why I love what I do. And there is something to be said for in-person energy exchange.
Yeah, for sure.
And this, after 17 years, I just, being completely candid here and like upfront about how I really feel, it's like you grow tired of working in the same medium. And like I said, I consider I believe we are artists. The models
Of
are
course.
artists, and modeling is the medium. My body gets a little tired working in this medium. And I think of, like, well, what has kept me in it? Because it's hard to get out of it once you're in it. We're around love and support and accolades and it's just magic all the time. So it's like, well, even when I am tired of doing this for so long,
Yeah.
lifting that veil, going virtual, it's like, oh, it really does shed light on the fact that, like, what I really love about what I do is, like, it's the people, it's that energy in the room. Not even what anybody's saying, but it's just, I can't explain it. I don't know. It's just, it's tangible, I don't even have to talk to the room full of artists. They can come and go, but it's just like something that exudes and something that I pick up on and we exchange. That's what's kept me in love with it for so long. So it's been hard going virtual. I'm not a tech savvy person. I really don't like it much. Thank you to whoever just said I was
Yeah,
beautiful.
Alan. Yeah, you've been getting a lot of love, a lot of shout outs, so it's really
Thank
great
you,
to
thank you, Alex.
see that community is watching and interacting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a weird time right now. I feel like I'm very analog myself. I you've seen it. I have typewriters at my house. Like
Love
like
it.
I can do the digital stuff, but I prefer, oil paint and charcoal and you know, nitty-gritty stuff. But it is interesting to see the connection being made globally right now, through
Mhm.
Zoom and posing for these people all over the world. I think that's so great right now.
It's a new language. I think learning a new language is difficult,
Yeah.
um, but I trust that things are happening in our favor. There's a quote I use from the TED Talks. It's called Gratitude, Gifting, and Grandpa. And the guy says, the universe is conspiring in your favor. And so I know there's a lot of shit going on that is really dark right now, but I think that dark cannot exist without light. Opposite sides of the same coin, but it is still that same coin. And I think there's a lot of dark things that we could really focus on right now, but like the dark being that we aren't in person and we don't have the, life that we're used to right now.
Yeah.
Learning this new language, it's like, oh my God, we're connecting globally in ways that we didn't think. We're learning new tricks. We're challenging our creativity to be like, well, how can I make this feel, as connected? And it's, I think that's a beautiful part of it. It has been very challenging for me. I mean, emotionally, day to day, you know, tweaking out before I'm like, oh my God, like, sweating, breaking out in hives because I'm like, I don't know how to even sign on to Zoom. And then
Yeah.
I have to like get there and be like, it's
It's
usually fun.
it's a push, and a lot of people are, becoming creative. They're learning new skills, like how, like, I wanted to do a podcast once I heard like all these podcasts. I was listening to a lot of them, and I'm like, well, I could do a podcast. I've had some really great conversations with some friends lately. This would be fun. But I have a cousin, Stevie, who he's a musician on a cruise ship, on a bunch of cruise ships, I think. And he sent me a microphone, and I'm like, how the hell do I hook this up? It's a nice microphone. So I'm like, I'm gonna do a podcast the most simple way, with just going Instagram Live. I don't have to buy anything. It's really nitty gritty. There's no
I like
edits.
it.
It's very raw. You know,
Yeah,
I like that. So
kudos,
yeah,
kudos. And, I adore you, but like I told you before, when I found out this was gonna be like not a podcast and video live, I
yeah.
was like, oh man, I'm dweeby, man. Like,
Yeah,
I keep thinking, like, I'm, you know, sweating. Uh, it's a
I
challenge, this whole new language of like opening yourself up. I'm on stage, I get to be quiet, you know, because it gets weird when it comes out.
oh, for sure. I've put my foot in my mouth so many times, and I see like my friends popping up on here, and then like former students and stuff, and it's like I just remember like all the times I was teaching. Like, oh my God, like I don't know. I love my time teaching. I loved it. I taught high school art, and it's so great to see, you know, former students show up and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think back and I'm like, man, like I wish I could be the teacher I was then, the teacher I am now. You know, I know so much more, and you know, anyway, it's great. I think those what are they like? I'm just my own worst judge. Like I'm always self-critical. You know.
I
Yeah.
feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you on that. Sorry, the light is changing in here, so if I keep moving, I'm pretty backlit. Oh, there we go. Look, you can see my face.
I like all the
Um,
plants. That's
oh,
nice.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, if I turn it around, you'll see all the U-Haul boxes. So
Oh,
plants are
cool. Yeah, I'm in my garage right
new to
now. Somebody said,
K-Town.
"Oh, I like your." They were like, "Oh, I like your studio," and I'm like, "Oh, thanks." Like this is all you get to see. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
the rest is it's a mess. I have been on a creative streak lately. Thank goodness, just pouring hours into my artwork. But when that happens, my studio becomes a mess. Like,
Is this the garage you're talking about, like in the back
yeah.
yeah, so you have a nice studio. I'm just saying.
Thanks, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, I've moved into the garage now. The house, you know, I was in there during the winter when I don't know, it was a little bit colder, but now I'm in the garage and it's getting hot, you know.
It was getting really hot.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
I have been talking all this smack saying I can't wait for the heat. Now it's here. I'm like losing my shit.
yeah, I almost was panicking just a little bit because I went on a run just before our interview, and I'm like, oh, I'll just go for a nice run, and I was like down to the beach, and I was like running and running, and then I'm thinking like, oh, I feel really good today. It's not as hot as I thought it was, and I kept going, kept going, kept going, and you know, I was like, dang, I better get back, and it was 5 mile. It was a 5 mile run out and back, and
Woo.
I was just like I the sun beat me up later. I was like, oh man, I have a headache. I'm dehydrated.
Yeah.
Like maybe I shouldn't do the interview today. You know?
Oh no. Well, thanks for doing it.
Yeah. No, I'm feeling better. Yeah.
The
Oh,
heat will get you. I
here's the view of this. Got my skeleton in the corner. Oh, it's such a mess to me. But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I feel you on the heat thing. I think I told you I have an autoimmune, and mine is in a skin condition form. So I urticaria. So I'm actually like have an allergy to heat and sunlight and the heightened emotion. So I get splotchy red hives. I don't know if you can see them, probably not. But if you look closely, if I'm ever blotchy during a drawing session, the heat
the heat, yeah.
fucks me up.
Man, so you probably so have you avoided hot yoga?
Oh, I do not. I can't.
Yeah.
Power to everybody that can. I won't.
No. I've tried yoga before, and honestly, I need to do it more. I did enjoy it, but I'm a runner. I'm just so stiff. Like Jackie
Yeah.
will come over and she's like, you know, I'm laying on the floor or something. Like she'll like, I don't know, step on me and then you know, lovingly
Nice.
way or whatever. And she's like, why is your leg so tight? And I'm like, it's not that tight, you know, but I've our friend Jessie, she recommended these rollers to roll out your iliotibial. Yeah, oh my god, it's so painful. But I've been doing it, and it's loosened them up a little because I was just very very
Roller?
tight. Yeah, a foam
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it's just taken like it used to take like 2 miles to warm up though. I was just so stiff, and so
Hmm.
it's
I
getting
got
better.
a good yoga lady that you might like. Yoga with Adrian. YouTube. Boop, boop.
Oh,
That's who.
nice.
That, that's my go-to.
Very
She's
cool.
very funny. She's chill, and just going from like where I once was physically to where I am even now. It's like, oh, yoga is absolutely a whole game changer.
Yeah.
Gotta do more of that. Running's hard on your body.
Oh, I love running. I've been a runner, I don't know, all my life. Like
Huh,
college, high
good for you.
school, elementary. Yeah, that's my thing. Like I just love running. Like it keeps me sane. I'm a better person. I dream better. I'm
Oh,
more creative. I don't know. I feel like I have to exhaust myself to sleep well, you know. So I'll go out on these runs. Yeah. And it's good. Like Jackie actually has been joining me on some of these runs, you know.
oh, nice.
Been good. She's been working so hard right now. There's a SpaceX launch tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for telling me about that. I'm definitely
Yeah, tune in.
you're
Everybody's
frozen.
pretty excited about it. It's 4 p.m. Eastern, I think. So in the afternoon here. Oh, I'm frozen.
Nice. You were. Now you're just
I'm moving
crap.
again. Okay, cool.
But the pixels are popping.
Dang, what is it? Like, I don't know. I got full bars, so whatever. Let's just keep going. I'm sorry. Does
Yeah.
anybody have any questions? um, it's funny when I was hearing you talk about recognizing people by their
Mm.
voice. When I heard that question, I remembered I recognized this guy in the airport once in Phoenix just by his voice. Like, I had never met this person before. Um, Jackie would always watch the show Sex and the City, and there was a carpenter guy. Um,
Yeah.
he was his. Do you remember the name?
Aiden? Was it
Aiden.
Aiden?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm in the Phoenix airport, and I hear this name, this guy talking, and I'm like, I know that voice, and I like turn around and
Sure.
it's that guy, and I'm like, oh, where do I know him from? And it took me a while, but I was just like in line to get my bags also, and yeah, it was that guy. He asked me where
Cool.
tacos were in Phoenix, and I'm like, you're in Phoenix, man. Like anywhere, go anywhere in Phoenix, you're gonna find good tacos. Yeah,
Nice. That's
yeah,
awesome. I think I forget the actor's name. I'm not that great with names. I was at Comic-Con, which I love Comic-Con. But I was on the corner of a street getting ready to, cross, and so you know the movie Road Trip?
yeah, yeah.
It was like a really, really skinny dude. Forget his name, but he was he was standing right next to me, and he looked over, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is a dude from Road Trip." It's like, so- and I love California because that shit happens. I got to meet Doug Jones, and for me, like, shout out to Paul again because he took me onto this Hocus Pocus anniversary taping, hosted by Kelly Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne, and I got to meet Doug Jones and backstage with him. We were making faces at each other. I have a
He's a
photo where we're
character
just
actor, right?
hmm?
He's a character.
Yes, and
Yeah,
so
Pan's Labyrinth.
that's where I
Right.
would like to head,
Okay.
in my career, is
Right
like more
on. So
so
cool.
creature work. Yeah, and so that's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
I've met famous people or actors, but that was where I was like, that's a starstruck kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and he is such a nice, nice person. He is so
That's so
sweet.
great when they turn out to be cool people too.
So sweet.
I
Yeah.
was, I had a starstruck moment. I talked about last time when I met Sean Barber. He's an amazing artist, and I met him and I totally lost my ability to talk. I was like, "You're
Oh,
Sean," or I didn't even say his name. He was wearing a name tag, but I couldn't like say his name. I was like, "Hi, hi, He's like, Sean. I was like, "Yeah, you're cool. I'm cool. We should hang out." Like, no,
oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, he was really nice though. He invited me over to the studio and everything to check out his artwork and all that. So yeah,
Very cool. Yeah, people are so great here. Um, I think a cool element about Los Angeles is we're mostly made up of like storytellers that want to come to Los Angeles because this is a place where you can come and tell your story, and there's going to be somebody else that's going to help you tell your story. And so I think by nature, we're such a collective mindset, because we come into Los Angeles with that intention of like, who can help me tell my story? So we all kind of need each other a little bit. We're all helping each other like bring something to life, and I think you can just feel that out here. You
I
know?
think so too. And I think you're a great person to work with when it comes to helping a story come to life. I mean, you are great to collaborate with. You got lot of ideas, and you have a lot of experience too. And even if it's not something that you're, I don't know, is in your book, like I've even, asked you and you've recommended other models,
Yeah.
and you're like, this person would be great, you should, contact them. So
Yeah.
how can people contact you if they want to work with you?
Probably Instagram is my go-to. I check that the most. I'm not so great at Facebook, um, and I don't do really like I don't have Twitter or anything else. So Instagram, email, but probably check my IG, which you already know it if you're watching this.
Yeah.
Shadia, what am I? Shadia underscore Elise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool.
that's how
All
you
right.
contact me.
I hope people do contact you. You're great to work with, and I can't wait till all this is over and we can, you know, see you again in the drawing studios all over town. Because
Yeah,
that's the other thing. You're everywhere. You travel to the different
I do.
studios. Yeah.
I do. It's the whole. It's like, what is this life? I'm not in my car.
I know. I
Yeah.
know. Very cool. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about that I didn't ask about?
I think we touched on it without like maybe getting into it too much or like being like a little Debbie Downer about it. Art models, we don't get a lot of the benefits that we really do need or deserve in our line of work. We just like other freelance artists, we don't get health benefits aren't offered to us even at like, well, some places do offer health benefits, but we really like our physical performance artists, the same as like dancers, just any kind of like stage actor.
Yeah.
uh, we could really use that stuff. I feel like even though we get paid and a sort amount that we can survive on, we could always get paid more for like because we don't get compensated for gas or the costumes that we buy
Oh, that's
or
a real concern. Yeah. Very real
yeah.
concern. Yeah. I
I would
think that's
love
what
if like that changed for people in the future in our line of work.
maybe it will. Maybe it will on this other side. They're going to see the value of the real value that wasn't seen before. I think is being what did you say? It's being remembered. It's being unearthed. Like people are remembering things.
Yeah.
Like it's how valuable everybody is. And
Yeah.
we got like a minute left before it will end on us. But I I appreciate that point. I'd love to see a gallery that does like, an employment, like gives you a W-2 to say like, yeah, these are our models that we employ here for figure drawing,
Yeah.
and something a little bit more steady that's more, I don't know, less having you drive around all over town, back and forth, up
Even
and down.
like the fair compensation, some artists are so wonderful about that and they really get it. But I think models, it would be a much easier life for us because the work that we do is already so difficult and challenging just even to like physically be there. Uh, I wish that we had more alleviation on models' personal lives just by being, choosing this line of work that we do because we love it for a reason. And we're in this line of work instead of maybe a more conventional job. We're willing to sacrifice certain things that other line of work will provide. So I do hope that that changes in the future, and I hope that this time, this quarantine can show how valuable we really are.
I
Not
think.
everyone knows that. And
Oh, it's gonna